There's a very interesting article in Politico that is titled Swing State Muslim Leaders Launch Campaign to Abandon Biden in 2024. Now, I'm going to talk about the article, but I want to set it in a little wider context of the politics of Muslims in America. So there are currently about 3 million Muslims in America. It's not 3 to 4 million Muslims. It's not a giant number of people, but the Muslims, it so happens, are in swing states. So where are Muslims concentrated? Probably the largest number is in Michigan. There's a fair number in Minnesota. There's a bunch in Arizona, Wisconsin, Georgia, Nevada, Virginia, Pennsylvania. So these are the states that tip the election. So it so happens that Muslims are strategically in an important place. Now, many people don't realize, but in the year 2000, in George W. Bush's election, Muslims voted Republican. So there was a predominance of Muslims voting for Republicans in the year 2000. After 9/11, there was a lot of anti-Muslim sentiment that developed on the right. Some of it was based on the idea that Islam itself is to blame for 9/11. And again, look, it's not that surprising people came to that conclusion. What did the terrorists say? They were doing it in the name of Islam. So, the terrorists themselves were pointing to Islam as their justification. So it was not entirely surprising that people go, listen, Islam does seem to be the problem. And this sentiment has persisted to this day. However, it is worth noting that Muslims are now creating a schism in the Democratic Party. It's a schism that we're watching from a distance because they're actually blasting Biden for being too soft on Israel. In other words, for being too pro-Israel. They want Biden to pressure Israel to do a ceasefire and an enduring ceasefire, which is to say not just a ceasefire for the purpose of getting hostages back and then resume hostilities. And the Biden position, the position of the Biden administration is essentially that we encourage a ceasefire in order to get hostages back, but we also support the mission of Israel to defeat and really destroy Hamas as a viable entity, as a viable power, and its ability to be a launching pad for terrorist operations. And so these Muslims are furious. So let me read from the article. Muslim leaders from several swing states descended on Dearborn, Michigan to announce a national campaign against the re-election of Biden. And their campaign is hashtagged Abandon Biden. Now, this is really interesting because as you go on, you realize that they are not pro-Republican. They're not saying to vote for Trump. What they seem to be saying is don't vote. Just do not support Biden. And I think there are two ways to look at this. One way is they're literally announcing what was it that Brandon struck? A walk away from the Democratic Party. I don't think that's actually what's going on here. I think that these Muslims are trying to use this as a leverage with the Biden administration saying, listen, you need us. And you need us because we happen to be in the states that you need in order to secure your reelection. You're not doing that well in the polls as it is. So if you lose a constituency that's been pretty reliably Democratic, at least since the aftermath of 9/11, you're doomed. And so they want Biden then to run scared. They want the Democrats to run scared and go, okay, we got to appease these Muslims. So we need to move our position more in the Muslim direction. I think they realize that it's not, you're not going to have the Biden administration abandon Israel completely. But what they want to do is they want Biden to continue to put pressure on Israel. No, don't do that. No, cancel this operation. No, back off from that. No, don't take that risk because there are civilians involved. So they want Biden to put a leash on Netanyahu and on Israel. And so I don't know whether to view this as a favorable development. It's obviously unfavorable in what the Muslims are trying to convince Biden to do. But whether there are some political opportunities here is a good question. My broad view of this matter is as follows, that the Muslim community is divided. It's a spectrum, but if you draw a kind of distinction, it's between the radical Muslims and the traditional Muslims. Debbie and I know a bunch of these traditional Muslims. In fact, there's one guy, he's become a good friend of ours. He drives us to the airport whenever we go on events and vacations and things like that. And this guy is, where is he from? Senegal. Very much of a traditional Muslim. In fact, he just went back to do the Hajj with his family. And described it to us as a very moving experience. And this is a guy who would never harm anybody. He's a great guy. And in fact, he sort of doubles as my security when sometimes we go to events together. And he's conservative. He's socially, politically conservative. He believes in upward mobility, his traditional values. This is the kind of guy who should be in the Republican Party. So to the degree that we have splits and schisms in the Muslim community that cause conservative Muslims to move over into the GOP, I think that's a good thing. And the fact that these Muslims happen to be in swing states can't hurt. Mike Lindell just keeps on introducing great deals. He's featuring the new My Towels. Save 50% on the 6-piece towel set. Regular price $59.96, but now for a limited time, just $29.98 with promo code Dinesh. Debbie and I have Mike's My Towels all over the house. We love them for ourselves, but we also like giving them away as Christmas presents. So there's an idea for you to consider. The My Towels 6-piece set includes 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, 2 washcloths. The towels are really amazing. The long staple length of the Sherper cotton fibers makes them very soft. Because of the long fibers, they can wrap around each other more easily, creating a smoother and softer fabric. Soft to the touch, but without the lotiony feel, and also super absorbent. So take advantage of the 50% off on the 6-piece towel set. Call 800-876-0227. The number again, 800-876-0227, or go to mypillow.com. Don't forget to use the promo code. It's DINESH, Dinesh.